there's a value in networking.
I like in-person dealing more now with the shows.
There was a lot of foul activity going on, and no one's talking about it.
I feel like I see less patience in the hobby today. And I want to get your thoughts on it. When you hear of the large dollar amounts now around PMGs, what do you think?
What it takes for someone to spend that much money on any card.
Fanatics did something tonight I had never heard about. They have a lottery.
We got you on the lot.
Oh my goodness, we're both on the line.
Hey, I don't think that the fact that they did V-Friends and Jackass is going to have any impact on how they treat sports cards.
You got to let the people know who you're rolling with, man.
Well, obviously I'm rolling with FD.
What's up, everybody? Monday at 6 o'clock. And we're here with our guest today. This is Keane from the Bay Area.
Yes, sir. What's going on, everyone?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Sorry, I'm just posting this on my Instagram now and let them know that we're going live. That we're rolling with FD right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's good to have you here, man.
Good to be here.
So let's jump into this. So open by telling people how you got interested in collecting cards, and kind of what was your influences?
Yeah, I mean, back in like the 90s, everybody was collecting cards, right? It was like the junk wax era. So everyone was really had something in their collection in like the early 90s. And I had something, but I didn't really take it too seriously. And it wasn't until 2019 that I got super serious about it. So I'm kind of like a late bloomer, right before the boom, right before the 2020 boom. Everyone was just starting to get into it. And yeah, it's been fun. But I'll be honest with you, like, I started collecting in 2019, but I really didn't feel like a collector until the shows started. I started going to the shows, which was about like almost like a year to the day, around April 2021. That's when I really felt like, okay, now I understand what like card collecting and the hobby and the community is about, and it's been super awesome the past year.
All right, so now in that time frame, what is some advice you would give to people, that some stuff that you've learned, to someone that may be getting started or maybe have been collecting for less time than you have?
I would say the biggest thing is that I've learned, and it took me a while to learn it, was don't get caught in the FOMO. You know what I mean? The fear of missing out. That's how people get caught at the top. I know everyone's into looking at charts and looking at graphs of how cards are performing, and you always see that one peak. And getting caught in the FOMO means that you bought the card at that peak, at the tippy tip of the toppy top. And that's what I would say is everything comes back down. Like it feels like what's hot right now. Like, I mean, Jordan Poole cards were like super hot, like, about a month ago. F1 is super hot right now. And there's so many times it feels like, man, the rocket ship just took off on that. I missed it. I got to get in now. And then sure enough, like anything that goes up that fast comes down just as hard. And that's just like a lesson, not just in cards, but that's a lesson in life and stocks too. I mean, just a year back, you had people that, or even now, people are buying into NFTs because they're going to miss the boat. They get left with the bag. People are buying GME stock because they don't want to miss the rocket ship. They get left with the bag. Dogecoin, they get left with the bag. So that's what I've learned is when something goes up that fast, it comes down just as hard. So don't get caught in the FOMO.
So with you selling cards, how do you determine, you have a PC, right?
Yeah, the PC for me, PC means it stays in my collection a little bit longer than the other things. You know what I mean? Like everything is sellable. So yeah. But
how do you determine what you hold a little bit for somewhat of a PC compared to what you sell right now?
Definitely. What are the chances that I'll see that card again?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, Luca Prism Silver. I'll see that again. I can find that. Even something like a Fleer Jordan, like, they're expensive, but I'll see them again, So if there's something like this, like I'd say the two cards that are on my PC right now that I really like is a Lionel Messi match worn patch auto card. That it's really hard to find his match worn patches now. Yep. And I'll probably never see one again for a good price. So that kind of stays with me. High grade like Lou Alcindor cards, rookie cards, that I don't have that, but then I'm trying to get that into my PC. I'll probably never see something like that again because they don't just come out. And on card Michael Jordan autographs, like those are kind of hard to find because the price is kind of high right now. So that's what I determine what goes into my PC. How hard would it be for me to get the card back if I wanted to or needed to?
So do you grade a lot of cards? Do you send cards off, and if so, like who do you grade with?
You know, I wish I started a lot sooner. I didn't start until like the past couple of months because I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with like I in a flipper's mentality. I wanted to be able to turn a card as fast as possible. So if I send it off for grading, I didn't want to wait 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. But now I'm starting to get into it. I'm starting to see the value proposition, and if you're able to see what a 10 is, a 10 is a 10, that's going to quadruple the value of that card. So I've just started getting into it, and I'm pretty much just using PSA because that's like that's the industry standard. That's what commands the premium. So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Cool. Who's your? Do you watch? Like what sports do you watch? Who's some of your favorite players?
Some of my favorite players, Jordan for sure. That's my GOAT growing up.
Yeah.
Tracy McGrady. I'm a basketball guy, so Tracy McGrady. And then now, of course, Steph Curry and actually Luka Doncic. I know he's going against my Warriors, but Luka Doncic is actually one of my favorite. Like he's the future. He's just one of my favorite players.
Yeah, he's a nice player. True.
Yeah. How about you? Who's your favorite players?
I grew up watching Mike Jordan.
Okay.
So I try to make sure I don't compare people to Mike Jordan.
Yeah.
In my mind, I make sure that I don't do that. I mean, Kobe Bryant was a very good player.
Yep.
LeBron James was a very good player. Steph Curry. I'm always thinking about like who's next up. What's coming. Because one day Steph is going to be coming back to these 100 NBA celebrations as an older guy, and who's going to be kind of running the NBA at that time. That's what my mind is at. But just like everybody else, even when it comes to football, I can remember a time when I thought Peyton Manning was better than Tom Brady.
Right.
And because Tom started kind of being a facilitator of the game, right? He passed the ball, but Belichick never let him go wild. This is why last year he had the best statistical year that he's ever had. I mean, he's always been held back a little bit to just explode offensively. But I remember those days. I can remember when Ben Roethlisberger was a game manager.
Yeah.
He may have 170 yards passing. That's about it. But Jerome Bettis was running the ball. So there are things I think about over time. But I'm probably no different than most people. When it comes down to the greats of the games, we all kind of look at the same people. Some of us navigate for a different reason to different people. But I was just lucky enough to grow up in Chicago during a time when Mike was just running. So, and I remember Scotty came along, and we didn't even know who Scotty was at the time, like a very thin guy from an unknown school. People look back now and look at him and say, it's like Horace Grant. They both came in the same draft class. Yeah. Nobody knew who they were or really what they were going to do. So it's good to see the maturation of things, I think, over time, because looking back tells one story. But when you're in that midst and you see somebody get drafted, it's like Kuminga with the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
We don't know who that guy's going to be. He has a lot of skills.
Yeah.
You talk about James Wiseman. I'm a big James Wiseman fan. We really don't know who he's going to be. But something tells you to look back on some of these guys and be like, John Morant comes from Murray State. Why is he at Murray State? There's a story there. But you look at him play, you can see that he's athletic enough and a game manager enough to be in the NBA. Like I played against some guys who went to some smaller schools, made it to the NBA. I mean, to the NFL. But I think when you see these players, there's no question of why they're there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So are you Chicago? Like, is that your teams? Like the
Bulls? I would say anything Chicago is my team.
Okay.
But I've always been a person that even going back, right? I just like to see greatness, man.
Yeah.
So when I'm a Bears fan, but I've never shied away from Peyton Manning, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Always a fan of wanting to watch what they're going to do next. Like Golden State, right? They're a team that I hope people know what they're watching.
Yeah.
That this is rare.
Yeah.
People can hate on it or they can ignore it, but greatness will happen no matter what. So, And I think we're on the midst of that team is on the midst of another run. Like this is the beginning of something.
Yeah.
That people look back on. Curry will probably retire with more rings than Kobe or LeBron.
Ooh, I hope so.
Just think about
I hope so.
When he was drafted, he had those ankle surgeries.
Yeah.
If somebody would have said then, this guy right here had more rings than Kobe, LeBron, and Shaq. Nobody would have thought that.
No.
You got even like the story now, you got Jordan Poole coming out. He's in the G League trying to perfect his game.
Yeah.
2 years ago, nobody knew who he was. This is how quickly things can happen. You like you just said, you started collecting a year ago. You're known, man. You do good content.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you do good content.
I appreciate that.
And I think you add a level to the community from a YouTube perspective that people don't see in other places.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is cool about the hobby, right? There are some things that can, there are people you can know, meet, greet. There are things that can happen in a hobby. There are people that can come into the hobby and add something to it that was somewhat of a void there before. You know, and I always admire people like yourself and Mojo who shoot their content, edit their content.
Right.
I hope everybody out there knows that's not easy. You know, like G and I roll. I'm with him all the time while he's shooting, editing. And it's like I can respect the hours, the time that it takes to do what you do. I know what that is, you know. So that's why I appreciate you, man.
Nah, and I appreciate you too. I'm really a big. I mean, I've been following you for a while, so I love the way you do your content. Everything's very regimented. You have the different programs. You know, you have the show vlogs. You have what's the play, and you also have that thing with JD. And then it's just really good. Like you cast a wide net, and I hope that people. What I'm trying to do more of is what you're doing, which is casting a wider net and not trying to be so perfect with my content and realizing that
it'd be perfect. Yeah, it's not gonna be perfect.
Yeah, like and realizing that quantity has a quality all its own, you know. So just getting as much stuff out there as possible. I think you know, too much is never enough when it comes to the hobby, you know.
Right. And I think in each thing that I do, I'm a little bit of a different person.
Okay.
You know, when I do shorts, it's probably more comedy.
Yeah.
Than anything. When I do what's the play, it's like more of an informative situation to talk to someone and really letting people learn something about them if you've never met them before, or if you have met them before, maybe it's something new that comes up.
Yeah.
What's the flavor? That's why it's named that. We come at stuff of JD and I very different ways. We're from two different generations, right? And we talk about things in a different way, and we try to be who we are in doing that. In having that conversation, and I think people can relate to that. I hope they do, because we try to just talk about things as we see it. And like we had a conversation one day about what's the greatest Star Wars movies.
Yeah,
I grew up with A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back. Whenever somebody talks about Star Wars, my mind goes to that. JD grew up with something totally different, and it's just like sports, right? Like you asked me who's my favorite team, I'm going straight to Michael Jordan. That's who I grew up with. When Mike was a rookie, I was 9 years old. You know, just to see him do his thing and to see a guy motivated in game 23, 52, 71, as if he was in the playoffs, which you don't see in a lot of players today.
Yeah.
Those are the things that you kind of look back on. You're like, man, that dude was different. So, you know, and that's why I like to talk to different content creators, because we come to it from our own perspective,
right? Of
kind of what we've been, what we're looking at now, who are our favorite players, what sports do we like, how do we want to be creative? Because Keane, you and I we want to be creative.
Yeah, correct.
Right? It's not just about putting something out there, going to a show and talking about the cards. It's much more than that. It's almost like you got your own stamp. When they see a Keane video, they know what they're looking at. Right? When they watch Rolling with FD, they know what they're looking at. Yeah, Big G is the backbone. Right? He's the backbone. He started at 16, 17 years old.
That's good. Let me ask you real quick. What drove you to kind of like approach the hobby and content creation with this approach that you have of like, I mean, do you have a background in like media production or, you know, being a media personality or?
No, people have always told me that I should do like sports talk radio.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that was years ago. We're talking about, I was much younger. Then when I first moved to LA, there was a point in my life that I was going to move to New York and get involved in entertainment. So I've always been interested in like producing music, right? Yeah. And creating music. When I was young, I used to make mixtapes, of different songs. And in Chicago, we had house music. So a lot of that kind of is still in me, right? The creation of things. So that's why sometimes we'll make a song for a video.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah, and come up with different ways to experience that kind of card environment. Especially if it's a unique situation, new kind of show, something different, we'll do that. That's what led me to creating like an intro song.
Yeah.
just the whole name of Rolling with FD, I want it to be inclusive of everyone that's involved, right? You go to a show, there's so much diversity at a show.
Yep.
I mean, it's California too adds like a level of that, but you go to a show, man, there's a lot of different people walking around. You may hear a lot of different languages,
Yeah.
a lot of different stuff going on. So, and then I also had an interest at one point. I had a friend who made like independent movies.
Okay.
We used to talk a lot about movie creation and different things. So I think, and I worked in sales at one point for quite a bit of time. Worked in customer service before. So like when we shoot something and we sit down, we start talking about what do we want it to look like. How should it the vibe be? And I'm not always concerned about how many people are about to watch this.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about being creative. Sometimes
100%.
it's about. Sometimes I hit a show. I'm really about the car deals that's about to go on. You know, the community also. I think there are some people who really do a good job of showing the community. Demetrius, I grew up with, says I bring the comedy too. But you know, you got to show the community as well to me, because sometimes that just gets like that just goes by.
Yeah.
Because you know what, Keane, when you hit a show, everything that's going on around you, the people that's coming up and talking to you, what are they talking about? What cards do you see at your table? What's the stories you get? Because we're going to tell you how they got that card. But there's a bunch of stuff that I try to incorporate.
Yeah. That's exactly the same thing with me too, because like I said, before I started doing shows, like the hobby existed on a laptop for me. Like I was just buying cards off of eBay, just admiring them, putting them in the safe, and that's it. But now the whole show aspect, it's really like just reinvigorated like why I got into cards, and actually not reinvigorated, but took it to another level of appreciation, because now I have a community of people that I can share this with, you know what I mean? And basically just nerd out like with a bunch of other people, and everything's okay, you know? So yeah.
And I think that's the beautiful side of it, because I told stories about growing up on the south side of Chicago. You go to an autograph show or you're going to something for cars, kids in your classroom are not doing that.
Yeah.
And so when you tell them that somebody asks you, what you do this weekend? You tell them about it. They're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But now I think I walk in the show, I see 8-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds. And they have a community right now for them. And I see 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, like you're saying, nerding out. There's nothing wrong with it.
Nerding out safely.
That's right.
Judgment-free zone.
That's right. Judgment-free zone with people who have an interest or want to hear your story or something like that. So
100% agree.
That's the cool part about it, man. Cool part about it. Let's talk about the sports car market overall. I know we're talking about you got sports cars, you got non-sports cars, you got gaming cars.
Yeah.
Kind of just some of the stuff that you're interested in, or you've done research on or thought about. Where do you kind of see certain markets going short term?
Short term?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm terrible at predicting the future. I kind of given up from trying to do that.
It's rough. Right?
It's rough. And like I realize that everyone's always wrong too. So maybe it doesn't hurt to give.
A lot of times it's about who's less wrong.
Who's less wrong? Yeah. Yeah. You know, the thing that's tough, like I always circle back to it, is I think one of the things we're going to talk about was the boom that happened. Yeah. 10-year-olds with briefcases, straight fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the so one of my friends, he's like 13 years old. I saw him. He's in the last video, but he pulled out like this $3,000 like Patrick Mahomes card, and I was like, man, at 13, I didn't have 3,000 of anything. You know what I mean? And some of these kids are crazy right now. But yeah, just to kind of touch on where I think the market's going to go, because I think a lot of people got in during the boom of 2021, right, or the summer of 2020. So summer 2020, that's the pandemic bubble, when in the Last Dance, when no one could do anything besides watch sports on TV, and then even when sports wasn't on, they were and they couldn't gamble, they'd buy sports cards, so they got in on that. Or there was that big boom in like mid-February 2021 where everything just went middle finger chart up to the moon, right? So a lot of people are left holding. A lot of people got in before that, and all they knew was buying a card for $400, and then by the time it comes in the mail, it's worth $1,500. You know, sure. So that's all they know, and it's hard to see that how come that's not happening, or when will that come back? I don't think that's probably going to come back for maybe like another like 30 years, honestly, on the next cycle, because things tend to happen in 30-year cycles. Like sports cards, from my understanding, happens in 30-year cycles. Like there was the 90s and like the 60s and now the 2020s. So probably like 2040, 2050, things are going to go crazy again, because that's just the nature of things. But I don't think we're going to see any crazy growth like that. I think we're just going to see a slow up and to the right in terms of like vintage cards and everything like that. And I think just modern cars are just going to continue to take a beating. Like it's hard to survive with like, 30,000 PSA 10 Zion Williamsons or 30,000 PSA 10 Lucas, but and people, for the modern, people are going to start gravitating more towards they probably already have gravitated towards, but like the super short prints and like the high end and things like that. So you're not dealing with like 10,000 other comps out there,
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Mark? How are you?
Yeah, Mark Ingles in the house. Good to have you here. I can I can see exactly what you're saying.
Like, what do you think? You have history in this. Like, you've been in like the past like bubbles and whatnot. Like, what do you think is going to happen in the next 1 or 2 years here?
I always tell people real short and sweet, right? You got to find a legend.
Yeah.
There's only so many legends that come.
Yep.
We talk about a bunch of players. People speculate now on Ja. What player's going to do what?
Yeah.
We got to find a legend. That's hard, right?
Yeah.
Kobe was at one point in the playoffs as a second-year player shooting airball.
Yeah.
And getting beat by the Houston Rockets with an old Charles Barkley, an old Scottie Pippen with back problems, and Hakeem Olajuwon, and Clyde Drexler over there. So once you weed through, right, get through everything and really find a legend, that's the person you roll with. Yeah. And up until when you find out, now that's going to be some B level, C level, D level players, right? They're exciting to talk about. ESPN's going to talk about it, but they're not legends,
right?
Like a LeBron James, right? The last 20 years, a lot of people think I'm hard on LeBron, but the last 20 years, he has been a legend.
Yeah.
There's no player like that. There's nobody doing anything like that. Right now, Steph Curry, very different.
Yeah.
You've never seen anything like that. He changes the game. He plays with some swag. And what's cool about him is that he puts the work in to play like that. Right? He's putting up jump shot. His body has changed. You go back and look at Steph when he was first, second year. Looked like a kid.
Yeah.
Now he looks like a guy who has been in the weight room, controls his diet, and plays ball like nobody's business. As much as he's running on the court, even Reggie Miller, who was in excellent shape, Rip Hamilton, who was in excellent shape, they marvel at how this guy moves around. And then the third and fourth quarter, is still in shape, still ready to rumble.
Yeah.
When you connect yourself with players like that and finding who they are, we could go over and talk about Tom Brady and several other people in football. Those are the people you latch on to. Your collection is probably a little bit different.
Yeah.
Even if you can find those cards early or realize who those players are or really analyze the game. Like for me, watching sports tells me a lot. Like just watching players and then having that Rolodex of players that you've seen in your lifetime, right? When I think of Ja Morant, I immediately think of Allen Iverson. Then the questions come to mind. And this is just one player. And I've talked about this before. Small guards catch hell in the NBA.
Yeah.
Historically, they do not do well. They usually get hurt, have a problem. And like in our society and with sports and with ESPN, we like to see a guy like Ja jumping and dunking on people and bounding. But someone like me that's watched a lot of basketball, I was like, man, can that dude get a jump shot?
Right.
He take all that wear and tear off his body. And then he can explode when he wants to. But I think every player, even Jordan Poole, some stuff you see him do on the court. Like when this guy actually really matures, what is he going to do? So you'll see that player start a certain way. What's their maturation going to be? Can you predict that?
Right.
Those are the things that make the hobby fun because we're all out searching, looking for that, right? And we grab a hold like Luka, right? Luka's a great player. Holds the ball a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when they came into the series against Golden State, I just said, I'm going to see how him holding the ball and Curry and them popping and moving and popping and shooting shots and back down the court. How's that match up?
Yeah.
I think Luka's got to learn over time that he's probably got to come in a little bit better shape.
Yeah.
And he's got to get that ball out of his hand and he got to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
But those are the things you learn over time. You know? But watching the maturation is fun too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was interested in this Mavs and Warriors series. I thought they would do a little bit better. I didn't think that they would go down 0-3, but I thought that they would kind of treat Luka the same way that they treated James Harden back in in the Rockets, when it was the Warriors and the Rockets, not with Chris Paul, but basically just James Harden. Just basically let him go off for 50 every night and trusting that he can't do that 4 games in a row. You know what I mean?
That's a good point, because that's kind of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then they got Wiggins there to just mess with him.
Yeah.
They
match his minutes too. I think every time
right.
Luka comes out, they take Wiggins out, then he comes back in, they put Wiggins.
And then the last game, they went to that box and one.
Yeah.
You can't just penetrate the lane anymore.
Right. What I like what they do is that they switch it up too. Like, it's not as simple as just like running the same defense. I think they switched it up, like the defense up every play, so that Luka has to think for like at least like 2 or 3 seconds, like box to one or zone or man to man, and then just to give him something else to think about, just because, man, he's just so good.
And you know what's cool, right? If you really, I can tell you get into the nuances, the backbone of the game. You got to have some fabulous players on the court to run that defense.
Right.
Just so everybody out there knows, right? Everybody can't run that.
Yeah.
It was like back with Kentucky back in the day when they had Antoine Walker at 6'8", 6'9" out of Chicago running the trap. And he was taking that person from the inbound of the ball all the way down the court. And you got to have a phenomenal athlete to be able to run that trap all the way down the court and put pressure on someone like that. But, just rain it down, man. But when you have those kind of players, and Curry always, every press conference, gives credit to his players.
Yeah.
That's what makes them. And then they're not selfish, right?
Right.
If I'm on the team and Curry's going off, Pooh's going off, my man down in the paint is going off from UCLA. If he's
Looney.
Looney. If Looney's having a great game, everybody else is cool.
Yeah.
Draymond knows he's gonna probably give you 5 points, six rebounds, maybe 10 rebounds, a few assists. That's his game. But he's gonna play a heck of a defensive game on somebody.
Yep.
So when you have teams like that are not selfish, just look at what happens with them.
You know what I do, and this is not just because I'm a Warrior fan, but just in terms of appreciating the game, I like to watch highlights of Warriors ball movement. And it's just like you said, like, it's special. Like, it's just so beautiful to watch. You know what I mean? Like, just the back cuts, the movement, and the passing, and the tic-tac-toe. It's like, I always tell people that, like, the best parts, like, I try to get my friends who watch Warriors basketball, I try to get them into soccer. And I tell them, like, the best parts of Warriors basketball and basketball in general is the best parts of soccer. Like, the same thing, like the passing, the moving, the cutting, the possession of the ball. It's that's why they call soccer the beautiful game. And when the Warriors play basketball, I think it's exactly the same thing. It's the beautiful game,
Yeah,
that's just me being a Bay Area fan. But
no, you're absolutely right. I just sit and wait for the explosion to happen. Yeah. Usually, every Warriors game, there's some kind of explosion.
Some kind of run.
See them go on a 15 run in no time, because they're efficiently running what they run, and then when shots start dropping, it's lights out. So the question now would be, will they sweep? I think they will. I kind of thought they'd sweep before the series started.
Okay, that's good. I don't know if you saw, but 538 gave the Warriors, I think, like of the 4 teams remaining before the series, the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference started, they gave the Warriors the worst chance, I think, of winning it all. Like, they had the Mavericks above them of winning it all. And I think the Celtics, they had them like number 1 to win it all. I was like, wow, the disrespect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, disrespect.
Yeah.
Is it disrespect or hate on greatness? I don't know. That's wow.
Who do you think the Warriors win it all?
Oh, I think they're going to win it all. I'm telling you, I think they're going to be in the mix next year.
Yeah.
And they're going to be in the mix the 3rd year.
Interesting. Okay.
Will they win those years? We don't know.
Again,
but what they have right now on the court, if they can find a way to keep these guys together, keep them not being selfish, the question is going to be, somebody's got to get paid. It's probably going to be Jordan Poole. How does that happen? But just think about the guys that are sitting on the bench right now that's not even really playing. That's Kuminga. Almost like next up. Yeah, Kuminga's
a future. Yeah, he's a future.
Even Moody comes in.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal defensive player.
Yep.
And he can hit the 3.
Yep.
Rob Steen, what's up, man?
What's up, Sam?
How you doing, sir? It's good to have you here. Engel says Ja puts 10 to 15 pounds on his body, straighten up, and he'll be in that Kobe lane. We can only hope.
Hope so.
Hope so. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see someone you may say something about small guards and be like, but remember, Ja Morant didn't fall into that. Michael Day, which young QBs under 25 QBs besides Herbert and Burrow had the potential to be good? I think Hurts, Fields, Lawrence are my picks. I truly think those franchises are truly built around them. My only thing about Lawrence, right? You watch football?
Yeah. When I have money on the line.
I like that. So my only thing about Lawrence is that he's with the wrong franchise.
Yeah. But the Jaguars is just in general just the wrong franchise.
The wrong franchise. If he can find a way to play well, not get hurt, and get himself out of there at some point. Yeah, I think his mechanics, everything about him as a quarterback, I think he can do well. It's just about playing with the Jaguars. Fields and Hurts. Fields, both of these players, we got to see more about who's around them, what talent is around them, what kind of blocking do they get. Hurts last year was really running for his life.
Yeah.
All the time.
What about Josh Allen? Is he not under 25?
Josh Allen, let me see how old he is. We could throw him in anyway.
Yeah, I would say Josh Allen. And,
I think he's a good talent. I watched a lot of his playoff stuff.
And Mac Jones.
26, so he's right there.
Oh, okay. So and Mac Jones, just because anyone under Belichick and just ends up doing
Jones
okay.
is going to run that system just like Brady started out.
Yeah,
and he's going to mature the right way, and Belichick will make sure that happens. So I think those players, man, they're great. But Herbert and Burrow, I think, are on another level.
Herbert in the hobby is just the most liquid thing right now. Like, I just can't get away from a Herbert card for the life of me. I just see him everywhere.
Well, I'll say this. When he releases the football, there is some strength behind that ball. There's a tight spin. His spiral is right. Mm-hmm. I always look at quarterbacks and the spiral on that ball, man. Because most quarterbacks are going to care about that. How's the ball come out of their hand? And then that's going to give you a life on the end of that pass.
Mm-hmm.
Or where's it going? So,
just to add to that, this is like a random. This has nothing to do with under 25, but I just want to get on my podium and say that I think Lamar Jackson is too cheap right now.
He's much too cheap.
Much too cheap for what could potentially happen this season.
I don't even understand. I don't even understand why he's that cheap.
All he has to do is just have one good game, or probably even just sign. Like I keep on saying, all he has to do is sign a contract, and then that'll just make the card prices go up like 20% or something. Let
me ask you a question. This is something I thought of. Do you think Lamar Jackson is cheap because it's hard to market him? You don't see him in a lot of commercials.
That's a good point.
You don't hear him talk a lot unless it's really after the game.
Yeah.
Or maybe you'll see him on ESPN or something before the game. We don't really Jackson is not really. I don't think most fans can. We've seen Herbert, we've seen Burrow, we've seen Hurts, we've seen players talking a lot about the game. I don't know if the NFL's really. This guy's a former MVP.
Yeah. If he was in a couple State Farm commercials, that would help. That's for sure.
That's right.
But I think that's a big part of it. He could just be more visible. I think also just the injury had a lot to do with it too, and his backup kind of held the fort down somewhat. Huntley, I think his name is, right?
Yeah, Huntley.
So that kind of pushed him to the back, but I don't know. I just think he's too cheap in general.
Very much so. I saw a booklet. This was months ago. Autographed booklet, BGS 9, $400.
It's a steal. Can't get any lower, I would think, looking at that.
What is that all about? Well, Mark says the Bills seem like they have the best chance to come out of the division. I think it's going to be Algier.
Could have been his year last year.
Could have been.
Just needed one more possession.
FD and Keane. This is Jess Mamba. What's up, Jess?
Jess Mamba.
Appreciate
you know Jets FD?
I know of him. We've exchanged some DMs.
Nice. Jets is the man.
I can't wait to meet him.
Yeah, he's coming out to Burbank. I think he's still playing.
Burbank. Because I remember at one point we were talking and he was saying he was thinking about trying to fit that in. And then I saw him confirm something on Instagram. So I can't wait to meet him.
That's gonna be fun. We all gotta get a picture together.
Yeah, spend some time.
Yeah.
Burbank is gonna be, I think, a special event. So
I can't wait.
It's gonna be nice, man. He said, appreciate what you all both do for the hobby. Keep it going. You too, sir.
Yes, sir. You too.
What you do. Super bad. It's the haircut. This
Lamar.
This has been. I thought somebody might say this. This is part of that marketing thing I'm talking about. So in 2022, right? Can we just embrace the athlete?
Oh yeah, what? Embrace the athlete?
Let's
Yeah.
embrace him.
Yeah.
If he's braided up, just embrace him. I thought we had turned the corner on that with Allen Iverson, right? I don't know. Superbad might have a point there. I don't know. All right, so what has been some challenges that you've seen for people trying to come into the hobby? Is it education? Is it reading all these different graphs from different places? Is it what is really the comp?
Yeah.
What would you say to someone?
Biggest challenge for people coming into the hobby. I would say, I don't know. I would say like for me, it was being able to sell a card. Like it's just keeping it as simple as that. You know, it's easy to buy the cards, but then it's hard to sell. Like, for example, like if you have a card that you got earlier for like, you know, like for example, like I had a Giannis Prism PSA 10, got it for 500, ended up being worth like 4,000, and I didn't have the means or the ways or the know-how to liquidate that card. To cash that card out. Like I didn't want to put on eBay because like, you know, I don't want to get scammed. That's the way I'm thinking it as a new guy. You know what I mean? I don't know, you know, I don't want to just send it to a random person on the internet. And I guess it just all goes back to the shows. If I would have started going to shows back then, it would have had a lot more fun. Also, learned a lot more. So that's kind of like a challenge, I would think, is that learning how to liquidate a card and also finding a community and people. Because chances are for a lot of people, like your friends, like my friends, don't know about cards. They don't care about cards. So I can't talk with anyone about it. I can't build an idea with anyone about it. But once I started going to these shows, I started meeting other like-minded individuals. And then the education just happens a lot faster. So that would be it. Being able to find a community. I think that's the challenge that is a hill that needs to be climbed for a lot of people.
I agree.
Prices of cards, yes, for sure.
Yeah, prices of cards. And then when you find that community, so a lot of people in the hobby are introverted.
Exactly.
Right? So when you find a community, opening yourself up, having some initial conversations, and then growing beyond that to build relationships, and then those relationships help you possibly move cards, learn more about what's going on.
100%.
Because information constantly changes. There's like we're talking about quarterbacks that were on this list here, and we named a few more. There could be somebody else that we're talking about in 6 months, 8 months that is not on this list.
Yeah.
Who is that person? Now, what are their cards doing in the hobby, and how liquid are they? Because that's always if you're moving some stuff, and it's definitely you're trying to make a play on something else. What do you have that could be moved to make that play on something else, and then what's happening there?
Or who can you get it from besides buying it off of eBay or buying it off of StockX or buying it from Golden or whatever?
Sure.
Somebody around the way.
Yeah, the relationships of this are crucial to almost everything. But just start by saying what's up to somebody and ask them something about themselves, and then let it go from there.
Yep, 100%.
It was interesting to me. Like I went to a Comic-Con yesterday here, right? The Marvel DC gaming community that also are dressing up as characters. It's a little bit different community than sports card community, where people it's even more like the sports card community to me is it has a family like feel to it. You get to know people, you learn about their family, something about them. This is like almost on the next level of that. Like people are very welcoming. Yeah. Actually, JD and I went and we stepped to the side at one point and just had this conversation. Like it's very little like negotiation, comp talk, just different in that way. It'll be interesting to see if people get out of the card community and get into another type setting, what they would think.
Yeah. So, like, are there vendors there too at this?
Oh yeah, there's vendors selling comic books.
Got you. Okay.
Selling toys. it's just more of a free flowing kind of like, people willing to cut like real deals quickly on stuff.
And no comp talk, no phones, no eBay on the phones.
I didn't see any of that, man.
We're
talking about expensive comic books.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of that.
Interesting.
It's just different. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. It was just interesting to walk in an environment where you're not seeing any of that.
Yeah.
And people are having fun, talking about art, talking about the covers, talking about it's interesting, man.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that in general? The whole comp thing with cards?
Oh, that's a great question. It brings me to, right, when I walk into a show, my mind, like I have a business background and I'm always thinking about maximizing my dollars when I'm in a place. So I don't care if I'm buying a card for $15, it's $15 the right price.
Right.
That's on my mind. But then also we talked about earlier that prices on cards have gone down, right? You can walk into some shows. If you look at the table, you wouldn't know that, right? Keane, come on now, bro. You look at the table, you're like, oh man, it's like 8 months ago right now.
Right. I fell into a time machine. Time machine.
that makes me want to have the comp conversation even more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a cycle. I'm not blaming anyone, but it's just part of the overall ecosystem of what's going on. It's like, but I do have some people that I go to a show and I already know there's a history here of where their comps are going to be, right? I can quickly look at the table and know their comps are up to date.
Yeah.
So then we're not even having a comp conversation.
Yeah.
That's good. It's like I'm back at Comic-Con.
Yeah. But then on the flip side, I also know that I know where those comps are going to be, and like I don't even need to ask because there's nothing for me at this table. Like you know what I mean? Like
I do know that too.
Yeah.
But then with those people, I kind of started having a conversation just about different things overall.
Yeah, that's good.
And there's been some people that I've gone in, and it may be like 6 or 7 times going in. There's nothing on that table that's for me. And then on the 8th or 9th time, I look down. Oh shoot!
Yeah,
there's something right there that I'm very much interested in at a price
that makes sense.
Works for me.
Yeah.
So sometimes you never know. But there are some dealers that when you walk up, like this is probably not going to be a buying opportunity for me.
So we're just gonna talk. Yeah, we're just gonna talk. Yeah.
Eagle said a lot of deals are still in 2020.
Yeah,
and I know why. I mean, I can kind of
get it. When we trade it, whenever, man, hit me in the DM. You know I'm down to work. Yeah, a lot of it's I don't know, but look, I see that a lot too in the Bay Area. But I also like understand that this person probably doesn't need to sell any cards, so he could price it at whatever he wants. You know what I mean? But for the and I know who are the people that. Like, I don't know. I kind of just want to kind of hammer this point home. This probably has nothing to do with what we talked about, but like the card prices aren't coming back of 2021 aren't coming back anytime soon. So if you bought a Kobe Bryant PSA 9 Topps base rookie for $1,500, it's going for like $300 now. It's not gonna, we're not gonna wake up in 2 months and all of a sudden it's $1,500 again. So my opinion, this is what I do. I sell it and I move on. Because I know that I can sell that $300 card and probably flip it into maybe, let's say, $600 worth of raw cards, then flip that into like $800, it's $800 a PSA slab. And the next thing you know, I have a $1,500 card again. I don't know, but I just want to kind of get that point across to people that are doing the hobby now. Is that you're not going to make money on appreciation so much anymore. It might go up 10, 20%, but you're not going to see 300, 400, 500% like in NFTs, a couple months ago or in sports cards a year and a half ago. You're probably going to make money on activity. You know what I mean? Less than appreciation, like flipping cards over and over and over again, which is why I love going to shows, because you have the opportunity to meet with other like-minded dealers in that mindset and just kind of, find deals that work for you and work for the other person.
And then also people can adjust it. What you're saying is adjust your strategy.
Right.
Whatever your strategy was before, it may need a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of grease here, something to get you to in balance with what the market is doing. And then
Yeah.
you can see kind of the fruits on the trees after that, right?
Yeah, for sure. And like, I don't know, like if you're 2x over what the market value on a card is, anyone that knows means that they've been in the hobby. It means that they're probably not going to buy that card. And anyone that does buy that card is probably a new person, and they're probably not going to come back. You know what I mean?
So this is what I was saying. This is something I was saying, right? So let's say you walk up to a table and they got Kobe cards, LeBron cards, some Jordan cards,
Yeah,
some Luka cards, like the players that people are resonating with,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so then there's a level of these people don't know. So they see a Kobe card that's second year Topps paper for $200. It's really about a $60 card.
Yeah.
So that person's excited because they're looking at a Kobe second year card. And sometimes you'll see marked on the card second year.
Yeah.
That person's excited right now, but they don't know they're overpaying.
Right.
But I just say I always think long term on stuff, right?
Right.
If someone is doing that, at some point that person's going to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk to somebody else in a hobby, they're going to do some research, and maybe even be after the fact, they're going to know. Is your reputation worth that?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Like when I do a deal, like I want someone to make money off of me. You know what I mean? Because then if I make up my mind, that's fine. And if somebody makes money off me, they're definitely going to come back. We're definitely going to do more business. But if they lose money on a deal, like I'll probably, like I didn't knowingly take advantage of someone, but I got a good deal. And we just never did a deal again. And he's a good person, but like there's that reputation in the back of my mind that Keane's gonna like take advantage of me, you know what I mean? Or he's not gonna give me a good deal. So I don't know. I think there needs to be a little bit more of that in the hobby. Not so much sweating like the last 5, the last 10, the last $20 or the last 20%, you know, or the last 10%. Just like, you know, leave a little bit of room for the next person. You know what I mean?
Okay. And I'll just say this, right? I'm the person that Keane, we have a good relationship, and I'll give on the price, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You're willing to work with me. We're talking about something. We have a history. I can look at 2 other cards in my collection, and I know I got them from you. I got them from this person.
Yep.
But I have in the past, and this is just part of my personality sometimes. I think people here in my house knows this. If I come up and if I see these things are just overpriced, I'm gonna start negotiating, King.
Yeah, of course.
I'm probably gonna go real strong on some comps
for sure,
and then we're gonna talk logically about why would this be the case, you know. And there are some things that I've talked to people about that I don't even put in content because I'm not trying to blast someone, you know, at their table. But I just want people to know sometimes that, especially when we first started going out, no one knew who we were, and I guess people thought I'm just gonna shoot any kind of price out there and see what the hook in the water gets. It's just not good, man.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I'll tell everybody out there though, what we're talking about is a small portion of what's going on. When I go into a show, this is not the norm. This is not even 20% of what I'm saying.
Yep.
So just giving you some outlier stuff.
Could I give a quick story real quick? I want to say this on your show because you know you have a good reach and a good audience. So this is just one like when I gave that little speech right before, like what's a good use case. So how did this work for me in real life? So I tell a story. Brian from Sunday League Investors, and I've said this before, but I want to get across. Brian from Sunday League Investors, he moved out from Florida here to the Bay Area, and I randomly ran into him at a card show in San Jose. Okay. And I knew of him. I wasn't really starting YouTube at that time, but I knew of him and I knew of his channel. I liked his stuff. And I was like, you know what? I want to do a deal with Sunday League Investors, you know? So eventually we get to it. We start talking, we do a deal. And just to break the ice with him, I did a trade with him, knowing that I wasn't really getting the better end of the deal, but just to do a trade with the man, you know what I mean? And kind of build a relationship from there. And, we did the deal. We ended up working out, and then we started talking a little bit more like, hey, what are you into? What are you doing? And we started keeping track on the DMs and keeping in touch. And we're like, hey, you're into NFTs? Like, yeah, I'm into NFTs. Like, hey, I want to invite you to my group text of a group chat of me and my friends were into NFTs. So we start talking, start getting into NFTs. And I'll just say that I've made more money on the information that I've gotten in that chat, all from doing a deal with Brian, than from any card I could have sold to him that day in San Jose. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like just building that relationship from and talking. And now we're doing YouTube videos together. And now I'm helping to promote a show here in San Jose. And all from just giving them an extra $100 on that one day in San Jose. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Real life use case. Real life use case.
Building a relationship. That's a part of it. There are stories that I've heard and I've been a part of where the seller may give a little bit more on some things. You never know.
All the time.
But it's just about building a relationship with someone. And sometimes a building a relationship can also be conversations like we talked about.
Absolutely.
Getting to know them more, letting them know more about what you really collect and why are you so passionate about something.
Yeah.
I mean, there are many different levels of it. I appreciate that story, though.
Yeah.
I met Sonny League. I like him a lot.
He's a good
I've
guy.
had good conversations with him.
Are you coming up to that show in beginning of June?
I think JD is.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm coming yet.
Okay.
I think JD is. So we got ZFTB cards.
That's Zay from the Bay.
Yeah. Then we got Gold City saying what it do.
Gold City.
And the Card Shack said you two are to work with. Is that the truth, man?
Yeah, I've bought a lot of cards from the Card Shack. He's one of the easiest to work with.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
But he's probably talking about the fact that I asked him to take off another $20, $30 every single time. That's probably what he's referring to.
There's nothing wrong with a question, man.
Ken, it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah,
we'll still be friends.
So Chris says, do you guys think SGC is gaining any ground on the hobby?
In vintage cards for sure. Not in modern. In modern, if it's an SGC modern, I'm just gonna crack it and send it to PSA probably.
I think a lot of people are doing that. I think a lot of people are getting a decent read on the grade, and then submitting it somewhere else and probably getting a cheaper price on SGC slot. But whenever I think of SGC, and I've said this before, right? I always think of Beckett, right? And I always think like SGC. I know the leader of SGC. I've stood by him at the Mint. I've talked to him a little bit. I don't know Beckett's people. We know who's the leader of PSA, right? Well, we don't hear from, talk to. I know everybody has a different strategy.
Yeah.
But I think when you talk about community and people making investments in the slabs that they're grading with, it'd be nice to hear from someone.
For sure. Transparency.
Yeah. All right, Big John. What's up, Big John?
What's up, Big John?
What's up? CSG gaining in the Midwest.
Interesting. The Midwest, I'm always interested to know what's going on there because the hobby feels like a very East Coast and Midwest thing to me, if that makes sense. Like, it's crazy out there. So I'm always interested to hear what they're doing over there.
It is, especially like I've talked to different people around the country from different places, and the dynamics that card shows is different.
Yeah.
How you negotiate, where does the comp come from?
Yep.
Does someone still want to stand by their price if their price is aged per se in the market? It's good to know what different people are doing in different places, and I hope aspire one day to do a little bit more traveling, to be in certain places, kind of face to face with people and just talking about stuff.
I think you're on your way for sure. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're on your way.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Well, Keane, I know we're getting close to time. Anything else you want to share with the people out there?
No, a big thing that I got going on. I just started selling on Whatnot. If you guys can give me a follow on there.
Tell them how to find you on Whatnot.
Yeah, check my my YouTube description on my it's on my actually probably just check my Instagram. I'll put it in my profile. That'll probably be the easiest way. Yeah, and I'm just I was kind of skeptical about the whole live streaming thing, but man, what I love about it the most is like an online card show. You know what I mean? Like it's so much more active and less passive. Like listing cards on eBay or My Slabs, that's very passive. That's very just non-engaged. But selling live and being able to interact with people feels like a card show when I'm not at a card show. So yeah, come check me out on there.
Yeah, check Keane out.
Yeah.
We got a few questions here.
Yeah,
you
sure.
guys, this is Travis. Do you guys think Vintage Maze is a good play versus Vintage Mantle? I would say they're both good plays.
Yeah. I'm just now starting to get into vintage. Like vintage baseball, I mean.
I think Mantle has historically shown a steady increase. Maze cards, though, I hate to just look at Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
When you have these greats of the game who are still alive, that market changes was we can no longer interact with them.
Right.
That's the best way I'll put it.
Yeah.
And we all I think I remember one time being younger and collecting autographs, and it bothered me per se that that's the hobby. right?
Right.
You collect deaths.
Yeah.
It's hard to think about it like that, but that's part of it. But both of these players here, legends.
Yeah.
So I
Can't go
think
wrong with
any way
either.
you want to go, what player do you like? I would say go with that.
Yeah.
Sports car. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying I think, and just being in the Bay Area, I'm seeing that Mays is just like you can't go wrong with bringing a bunch of Willie Mays great. Like they'll just you'll move it to anybody up here in the Bay Area.
All these cars. You talk about these kind of cars, so it's about are they graded or not? Make sure you know what you're buying. Have they been trimmed? Those are all things to look at. Once you have a nice graded card and whatever grade that you want, then you have something special. That's you have a piece of American history.
Exactly. That's what I'm starting to see is my favorite. Like I'm not even into baseball, so I'm not gonna go out and buy like a Shohei, but I can get into vintage baseball because it's almost like 50% Americana, vintage Americana. Like you're like holding a piece of like mid-century art. I really like that aspect of it.
Okay. Sport Car Talk said I've been picking up serial number Trout and Pujols. I don't think you
Nice.
can go wrong there. Mark says BGS is and will always be the choice for the PC. Too many PSA slabs out here, and that's going to drop the values once collectors wise up.
I like BGS. I'm starting to warm up to it for sure.
So that BGS 10 is always a winner too.
Yeah, for sure.
Godfrey says I still can't understand how PSA 10 is better than the BGS 9.5, where PSA is known to be easy on centering.
The gap has widened too, I think.
I think it also goes to just what people want to see. Like it's almost like BGS gives too much information.
Right.
Which I really love.
Yeah.
Like I love to understand down deep to the nuances. Even if you got a 9.5, that's a whole nother group of cars within a 9.5 based upon subgrades.
Exactly.
So
exactly. It's like the collector's preference, I would say.
Yeah. I will say that, yes.
Yeah.
Mays was probably best player ever. I don't think anybody can argue that. When I think of best players ever, there's a few come to mind. Mays is on that list. Godfrey, thank you, Mark. Yep. Junkyard, Gold Hunters, offensive and defensive.
You saying Mays?
Yeah, he could do it all, man. What I also appreciate about these gentlemen of the past is that they play day games only. And they were in the sun all the time.
Yeah.
And they also played double headers. And Mays had the philosophy, like many others, Ernie Banks, many others. When people come to the game, they come to the game to see me. So I'm not just playing the first game or the second game. I'm going to play both. And I'm going to go hard on both. So these, I mean, there are different nuances of the game today. But when you don't have to be at 90-degree heat, it's just something different about how you play ball. Mantle just won a lot with the Yankees. He did. That he did. Well, Keane, it's been beautiful having you, sir.
Man, I'm glad we could do this. I love, I always love our conversations every time we catch up.
Yes, sir. It's been special, man.
Yeah.
Until the next time.
Go
ahead.
No, saying when's the next time we're going to see each other? Probably. If you don't come up to San Jose, it's probably just going to be Burbank.
Are you going to Newport?
50-50 right now.
Okay. Understood. Yeah, it'll be Burbank.
Okay. Cool.
At some point, though, this year, I want to come to the Bay and say what's up to people and spend some time. We came to the Fairfield show a while ago.
Yeah.
That was even before I even knew Dion.
Yeah.
We came to that show. I think we had less than 100 subscribers. We came to that show. So I would like to come back. I think the Bay Area is a wonderful place to go to a car show. If anybody has not been, please spend some time there. Great people at shows, great cars on the tables. LA is a great environment as well. Yep. Phoenix puts on great shows. We've seen what the Union and other people have done in San Diego. I mean, the West Coast is representing, man.
Up and down the coast. I love it.
That's what it's all about. And everybody knows everybody, too. You go to these shows, it's like you walk in.
Yeah.
And people know.
That's the one thing I hope for people who know FD or know me and haven't been to these shows. It's a very welcoming community. Don't be afraid to talk to people. It's a good place to be. Everything is very open and very welcoming.
Very true. All the time. And if you see it in one of us, just say what's up.
Exactly.
No matter what we're doing, that's how we roll.
Yep.
All right, brother. I appreciate your time, man.
I appreciate you too.
All right, my man.
right, man. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.